Okay, so Koei Tecmo is looking further into making AAA games. So pretty much they're deciding that their plan is going to increase their staff in their studio from about 2,500 to 5,000 and lowering expectations for the mobile market. Expects the console and PC game market to grow. Now, the PC platform and the console platform is somewhat stagnant in a sense, but there is some semblance of growth with PC. And I think it's more of a movement in a sense where some console players are adding a PC to their library, maybe a handheld or whatever it is. But I haven't seen much data lately. All I do know is the data set that I saw about 5, 6 years ago that the PC market was growing. Now, you see the way AMD and NVIDIA and Intel are, responding. I think this can also give you an indication that their markets are doing well. I mean, the 50 series is coming very soon. AMD has made a series of processors with AM5, and even, with their mid-range GPUs, they've been, quite satisfied with how they've performed. On the high end, AMD is backing away from that. I think they're just spread thin. They're fighting NVIDIA on one end and beating Intel on the other end. I've always said this for a while. I don't know how they do it, but they've been very fortunate that in the bid to doing all that, their company did not rend into shreds. Now, this particular article I think is very interesting. So, Koei Tecmo plans to go from 25 to 5,000 employees and lean further into AAA games. A lot of people have said that their biggest challenge is, basically they need to just commit to abandoning exclusivity. There's no reason for a company like this, that's a third party developer, to be staking its own, future on working with one publisher. Now, unless they find some mutual benefit where they're milking, PlayStation, I still don't see how they do it because they're going to end up the way of Final Fantasy if they don't take their time. And, hey, we know how that story has gone so far and how it's still going. So apparently, following the publication of their earnings for the first half of the fiscal year, Koei Tecmo held shareholders Q&A briefing where they gave some insights into their long-term development policy and expectations of the video game market. They recently formed a new in-house studio and already mentioned plans, to make yearly releases of major titles a priority, according to their explanation to shareholders. This is because the company expects the console and PC market to grow due to new hardware releases. Well, yeah, there are new hardware releases, but like I said, the hardware release cycles are actually bigger on the PC. Well, I would say they're faster on PC. So if you think about 2020, we were on the Ryzen, Zen 2 or so. Maybe Zen had just come out right before the PlayStation and the Series X, and then Zen 2 kicked off with both of them, and now we're in Zen 4 in terms of, CPU processing. Now, in terms of like the GPUs, I can't even keep up at the end of the day. So as well as mobile gamers transitioning to PC and console games, an observation made based on the success of recent Chinese and Korean titles. I'm guessing they're talking about Wukong and they're talking about some other Korean games that have also shown up. There was a data set a while ago, and I made a video about this, about the Japanese market growing in PC sales. Now, this was very interesting to a lot of folk because this had not necessarily been the case. It's usually known that in Asia, the lifestyle is a much more mobile lifestyle. People like the mobile, games and all that stuff. But it seems like those devices are still barred from being able to play a lot of the games that, a lot of companies are making. So Koei Tecmo is looking and saying, man, we need to increase those kinds of games because people want to engage in them. The mobile thing is when you're on the go, but when you're chilling at home, what are you doing? These are the kinds of games that probably could serve folk in this category. So they basically said, on the other hand, Koei Tecmo, the representatives, noted that the mobile game market is already mature and that significant growth is unlikely to be seen. Well, that's still, all of this is still speculation. You don't know what might happen. In response to these market conditions, the company plans to establish a development framework that would allow them to steadily produce AAA titles. To this end, Koei Tecmo even intends to double their scale from 2,500 to 5,000 employees. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, with this whole conversation is that, if you take it into account to see why they're making these moves, yes, truly, the handheld. I said the handheld. The mobile market is in a really interesting place. A lot of people who never really gamed on mobile, many of them are not really going to game on mobile. They're going to game on whatever it is that they are used to or prefer to game on. Maybe the mobile thing might be a side. And so those who are into the mobile side, they just continue to dig in. Then if you look at the West, when you're taking into account, like, the future in terms of young people, a lot of them have gone through a world where a lot of their educational experience has severely transformed. And when I say severely transformed, I'm talking these kids were in classrooms where they were being taught with pencil and paper, and then right after, around 2020, they took most of them and they changed up their experience by giving them devices to use to do their assignments, to do all kinds of classwork. And so Chromebooks and these devices are very much available to them, and it's now become a part of their educational experience. So for most of them, there's no adamance towards the PC platform anymore. I remember saying this briefly, and some people said, well, kids like the PlayStation and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, it may seem like, some kids that like the PlayStation, but if you actually work with, say the different demographics of high schoolers that have come post 2020 and have, eventually gone on, many of them will be happy to have a gaming PC because it's a fun new thing. It's a fad. Not only that, their favorite streamers, where do they play their games on? Many of them don't play on consoles. And these are the people that they've watched on, Twitch when they were in elementary and middle school, depending on how they had access to that stuff. So these are the challenges, ladies and gentlemen, that I think Koei Tecmo is reflecting, that's making them probably want to make these moves. But again, like we've said in the beginning of this video, they would do well to abandon exclusivity, and which it seems like they will. You're seeing it here that they're looking towards the PC market. So it doesn't seem like there's much exclusivity in their veins anymore to deal with all of that PlayStation stuff. So I think this particular, statement here expects the console and PC game markets to grow is what their sights is on. So they want to get in there and they want to tap into that market that's already available. They saw that Miyazaki's team did it. The team at Game Science are doing it. And they make a lot of these kinds of games that, might appeal to a lot of PC players. I think Rise of Ronin would have really done very well on PC. Ghost of Tsushima, even with the PlayStation account requirement, did very well. And a game like Rise of Ronin would have absolutely been a hit. I'm not interested in buying a game on PlayStation at this point in time. I'd prefer to buy it on PC. So maybe they can, allow for their exclusivity requirement to expire, and then that game comes to PC. I'll be happy to actually take a look at it. But these are my thoughts. I would love to hear yours in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.